You who have felt the tremor beneath your ordinary days, listen as the scarlet horizon opens over your life. While you were distracted by survival, while you were explaining away your ache, an order was issued concerning your location and your becoming. You are not being punished by restlessness. You are being summoned by it, because the place that once held you has become too small for the statue rising inside your spirit.
You have tried to fit, beloved, and heaven has watched the tenderness of your effort. You softened your voice, narrowed your brilliance, translated your strange and holy language into sentences the old room could tolerate. Yet even whenever one applauded your adjustment, your soul knew it was performing inside a borrowed life, and that quiet rawness was never failure, it was your compass turning toward home.
I come robed in scarlet power to tell you that your discomfort has been misread for too long. You called it ingratitude, moodiness, impatience, or pride, but it was the ancient instrument within you refusing to lie about the size of your destiny. The ache of not belonging was not evidence that you were broken. It was evidence that you had outgrown the container and were ready to be moved.
You must understand the mercy hidden in the pressure, because every living thing feels confinement before it breaks into a larger form. The seed feels the shell as a prison just before it becomes strong enough to split it, and the bird presses against the egg not because life has betrayed it, but because wings are forming. When your spirit presses against the walls of your present life, do not panic. Whisper to yourself, "This is the outgrown room, and it means I am ready."
The place you are leaving was not necessarily wicked, and this is why your departure has confused you. There were lessons there, good faces there, tables where you were fed, storms through which you learned endurance, and seasons where that soil genuinely served you. But that classroom becomes a cage when the lesson is complete, and you cannot keep sitting in a finished grade hoping it will become a kingdom.
You have walked into rooms that once felt warm and found them strangely airless, as though the ceiling lowered while you were away growing. Conversations that once nourished you now leave you hollow, and you censor the deepest part of your knowing because you can feel it will not land where you are standing. Hear me with tenderness. You are not too much for the room is too small for what you have become.
There is a divine relocation order over you, but relocation is more than a change of address, more than a new city, new work, new relationship, or a new set of doors. You can be carried into the exact territory prepared for you and still live like an exile if your mind remains buried in the old ground. Therefore, the miracle is not only that you are being moved, the miracle is that your perception must cross the border with you.
You have known people who entered new seasons but kept old expectations, and they walked past provision as if it were ordinary scenery. Their bodies arrived, but their imagination stayed behind, still wearing the chains of scarcity, still expecting rejection, still apologizing for existing. You must bring your mind across, your language across, your posture across, and your permission across, so that when home rises before you, you will recognize it instead of shrinking from it.
The root that kept you planted was never merely money, leases, obligations, timing, age, or fear of inconvenience, though each of those wore a convincing mask. You have survived harsher thresholds than starting over, and you have crossed heavier waters than the ones now trembling at your feet. Beneath the circumstances was an old ceiling, a hidden belief that someone like you was allowed only the waiting room and not the home.
That ceiling may have been placed over you early, before you had language for what was being stolen. Perhaps wanting more disappointed someone, perhaps your hunger for breadth was called selfish, perhaps you watched another dreamer punished for reaching beyond the fence. So you took smallness and named it humility, took limitation and named it realism, took a roof and mistook it for the sky.
I speak now against that false sky, and I command your inner heavens to expand. The desire to whatever was not that greed, not arrogance, not rebellion against gratitude. It was memory, secret memory, the part of you that never heard of the harshness for which you were designed. It is not as you, and you can breathe.
You have been loyal, and your loyalty is beautiful, but even beautiful loyalty can become a golden chain when it binds you to a finished season. You fear that leaving means betraying the people who remained in the waiting room with you, and that grief deserves honor, not shame. Yet your movement is not abandonment, it is testimony, because when you obey the call into enlargement, you become a living door others may finally believe can open.
Remember Abraham, who heard the command to leave country, kin, and the house of his father before the map was complete in his hands. He was not shown every road, every river, every danger, or every table waiting in the promised land. He was given a voice and a direction. You, too, may be asked to release familiar soil before new ground is fully visible, because faith often begins where certainty ends.
The command was not simply to move from one place to another, but to detach from the systems that had defined his security and belonging. Country was structure, father's house was identity, and leaving them meant stepping beyond inherited limits into covenantal vastness. In your life, the same summons may not always look geographical. It may be emotional, relational, vocational, spiritual, or mental, yet it will require you to stop letting old addresses name your future.
Do not despise the wilderness between departure and arrival, for the wilderness is where false identities lose their grip. The scarlet path may look empty at first, but emptiness can be a holy clearing where your senses recover from the noise of the old world. In that way, you will live it. You are never and you are never seen those who of you.
You must not demand that the new land feel familiar on the first day, because familiarity is not always confirmation. Sometimes the right place feels strange because it does not require the old performance, and freedom can feel unsafe to a nervous system trained by captivity. Give your soul time to believe it is no longer in the old room, and let peace arrive not as a shout, but as a slow sunrise across your chest.
There is also a narrowing that happens when a mind has lived too long in survival. When you have had to make yourself small to remain acceptable, when you have scanned every room for danger, when you have measured every desire against possible punishment, your imagination can begin to forget its own wings. This is not lack of faith, it is the wear of endurance, and it can be healed as your mind is renewed into spaciousness.
Let your imagination be restored without shame, because the larger life may first appear as something you can barely picture. You may have to practice seeing yourself welcomed, resourced, chosen, protected, paid, loved, and planted without apology. Day by day, vision returns like color after a long winter, and what once felt impossible begins to feel like a door with your name already carved into it.
When the order comes, the old place may suddenly reveal its seams, and what you tolerated for years may become unbearable in a week. This does not mean you have become ungrateful. It means grace for that environment is lifting because grace for movement is descending. Do not curse the room, but do not worship it either, for it was a vessel, not your final inheritance.
There are signs that a season has ended, and many of them have already touched your life. You feel like an actor in conversations that once felt natural. You sense your language changing, you crave depth where others demand repetition, and your spirit recoils from the roles it once accepted. These signs are not accusations against those around you. They are announcements that your interior landscape has expanded beyond the local borders.
You must declare the move before every detail agrees with you, because language is how your inner world begins to align with heaven's order. Say within yourself, I am being moved, not as a fragile wish, but as an agreement with the compass that has been turning for years. The declaration will not magically erase the road, but it will stop you from bracing against the river that was sent to carry you.
There is provision stationed where obedience is leading you, but provision often waits in the place assigned, not in the place expired. You have been asking old soil to produce new harvest, and it has grown exhausted trying to feed a version of you that no longer exists. In the land appointed for your becoming, there are connections, ideas, favor, courage, and rooms that will not require you to amputate your brilliance to enter.
Beware the temptation to turn back because the beginning feels lonely. Every true relocation includes a stretch where the old voices fade before the new voices arrive, and in that silence you may wonder whether you misunderstood the call. You did not misunderstand. You are passing through the corridor between identities, where your dependence on applause is stripped away and your inner authority is forged.
You are not moving as a beggar hoping to be tolerated. You are moving as one who carries a sealed assignment. Walk like someone whose restlessness was evidence, whose tears were maps, whose delays were preparation, and whose difference was never a defect. The scarlet mantle over this moment is bold, royal, and alive, calling you to stop negotiating with the life that no longer has room for your expansion.
Some will misunderstand your movement because they only knew the version of you that survived among them. They will call your obedience sudden, excessive, dramatic, or unwise because they did not see the years your soul spent packing in silence. Let them have their interpretation, but do not hand them the steering wheel, for they are reading the departure without knowing the divine conversation that preceded it.
And if grief rises, let it rise like incense, not like a chain. You may mourn what shaped you even as you leave it, and you may bless the people who cannot come with you without returning to the rooms where you were shrinking. Love does not always mean staying. Sometimes love means becoming so fully alive that your life tells the truth more loudly than your explanations ever could.
The old ceiling will try to rebuild itself inside your thoughts. Even after the external walls fall, it will whisper that you are aiming too high, asking too much, arriving too late, or stepping beyond your assigned measure. Answer it with the authority of one who has seen the roof split open, and say, I was not born for ceilings disguised as sky.
Train your nervous system to recognize blessing, because some of you know how to endure pressure, but not how to inhabit goodness. When doors open easily, you may suspect a trap. When people honor you, you may search for the hidden cost. When rest arrives, you may feel guilty for receiving it. Stay there anyway, breathe there anyway, and let your body learn that safety can be real and enlargement can be holy.
The move may require practical steps, and prophecy does not cancel preparation. Gather your documents, order your finances, study the road, release clutter, have the conversation, make the plan, and let wisdom become the feet of faith. The divine order descends from above, but you participate below by moving with courage, clarity, and disciplined expectation.
Yet do not wait for perfect readiness, because readiness often grows while you are walking. Abraham did not receive the entire atlas before the first step, and neither will you, because the path reveals itself to the obedient in portions. Take the next faithful step, and then the next, and you will find that the unseen land has been approaching you even as you thought you were approaching it.
You are crossing from tolerated existence into appointed belonging, and that crossing will require you to stop apologizing for the dimensions of your soul. The people and places assigned to your future will not need you diminished in order to feel secure. They will recognize your flame, make room for your voice, and call forth the very abundance the old room treated as inconvenience.
Your true home is not merely a location, it is an alignment between your inner stature and your outer environment. It is the place where your gifts have oxygen, your discernment is welcomed, your depth is not mocked, and your becoming is not treated as a threat. When you arrive there, you may weep, because your body will realize how long it has been bracing for rejection that no longer rules the room.
Do not confuse delay with denial, because much of what felt like delay was actually formation. The years you spent feeling were not wasted years. They drove into your ear, sharpened your hunger, purified your motives, and taught you the events to obtain comfort in calling. You were being made strong enough not only to enter the new land, but to remain yourself once you got there.
The scarlet mystery is this. What once made you feel exiled will become the very evidence of your election into a larger life. Your inability to settle for counterfeit belonging was protection, and your refusal to be fully satisfied by smallness was a sign that the promise was still alive. You were never hard to place, you were simply not designed for shallow ground.
Now let the order reach your feet, your calendar, your choices, your conversations, and your courage. Let it move through your fear like a trumpet through fog, announcing that the waiting room has served its purpose and the door is no longer locked. You are being moved, and the movement is not chaos, it is choreography from the highest wisdom.
Receive the scarlet summons with your whole being, and do not scroll past your own awakening. You are allowed to belong without performing, to desire without shame, to leave without hatred, and to arrive without apology. The compass has turned red, the border is open, the old room is behind you, and your larger place is calling your name.